If you have an octopus tattoo or you're thinking about getting one, this video is going to change how you see it. Because the reason Westerners get octopus tattoos and the reason Japanese get them are completely opposite. Same creature, completely different meaning. By the end of this video, you will know exactly why that is and which one actually fits you. Konnichiwa, Yoshi desu. I've been doing Irezumi 16 years. Every client who sit in my chair and asked for an octopus, I asked them one question first: why an octopus? The answer always falls into two champs. That gap tells you everything. Let me show you. Octopus, kinda gross, right? But wait, why though? Has an octopus ever done anything to you? No, right? It's just out there, living in the ocean. So why do we instinctively record? You know how in horror movies, the villain always has a certain look. You didn't decide that was scary. 100 years of movies decided it for you. Same thing happened with octopus. Let's trace the history of tentacled creature in the West. Ancient Greece, a scylla, a monster living in the middle of the sea. Tentacles that snatch sailors right off their ships. Tentacles equal terror. Tentacles death. Tentacles alien, pure horror. Scylla, the Kraken, the Martyrs, Cthulhu. 4th century in the West, anything with tentacles was a monster, ever alien. So the disgusting you feel when you see an octopus, you didn't create that feeling. Centuries of conditioning did. And that feeling carries straight into tattoos. When Westerners get an octopus tattoo, it's the energy of conquering something terrifying. I tattooed this monster on my body. That's the starting point. Like, subscribe. But at the exact same time, on the other side of the world, something completely different was happening. Have you ever seen an octopus like this? 4, maybe 5 inches long, just like this size. Fit right in the palm of your hands? Probably not, right? This is what Japanese people pictures when they hear octopus. Small, round, almost cute. You've seen it in takoyaki at street festivals, but these days using not taco, it's like giant squid. On snack packaging, on keychains, on restaurant signs, idako. Webfoot octopus, 4-5 inches, goes in horror as a sushi topping. Madako, common octopus about the size of your forearm. That's the octopus Japan grew up with. Now, the octopus Westerners grew up with 132 pounds, 16 feet across, giant Pacific octopus, on camera, dragging divers into its den. I'm not joking, same creatures, completely different scares. You think the same feeling we're going to develop? Of course not. Japan saw something small, round, familiar in their food, in their festival, in their daily life. The West saw something the size of car food, pulling people underwater. That gap, that's where everything starts. The West gave the octopus a name, the Kraken. Japan also gave the octopus a name, Akoro Kamui. Same move, completely different result. The Kraken, a monster that destroys ships. Akoro Kamui, a god that protects fishermen. Same creature, why were they so different? In Japanese, octopus is a taco. Write it differently, kanji taco. They put it in New Year's food. They eat it to pray for a good harvest. And Akoro Kamui, a healing god. Because octopus's arm grow back when severed. There are still shrines with wooden octopus statue today. Touch the tentacles with your left hand and your illness goes away. While the West was fearing the octopus, Japan was revering it. But how did the reverence make its way into tattoos? This is where it gets really interesting. For a motif to make it into Irezumi, there is a condition. It can't just be an animal. It needs to have will. It needs to want something. That's why dragons make it in. That's why tigers make it in. Think of it like a movie characters or rock on the ground can be protagonist, but give it will, give it desire, now you have a character. So what about the octopus? IT14 Hokusai made that happen. Tako to Ama, octopus and shell diver. A diver lying on a rock, one large octopus wrapped around her, a smaller one helping out. This is shunga, at the period erotic art. When the West first saw this barbaric shocking, they even changed the title, The Dream of the Fisherman's Wife. But at the period Japan shunga wasn't taboo. Nobles saw it, merchants saw it, even samurais saw it. Art enjoyed across every class. And Picasso saw this print and drew his own version. But that's not even the point. Look at the octopus in this print. It has an expression. It has will. It wants something. This is no longer just an animal. Hokusai gave the octopus the character for the first time. That moment, the octopus earned its place in Irezumi. Like, subscribe! Ukiyo-e was a direct source of Irezumi. The character Hokusai gave the octopus went straight onto people's skin. So why does the octopus get chosen in Irezumi? Think about what an octopus actually does. The answer comes naturally. When danger comes, it doesn't fight. It sprays ink and disappears. You know that one guy at work who never got into arguments, but somehow always gets what he wants. That's the octopus. Not force, strategy, color, shape, even skin texture. Changes in an instant, not adaptation. Full transformation. Arm gets severed, they grow back. Lose something, recover. Start over from anything. And last, this one's the most wild. Each arm has its own independent brain, not the central brain in the head. Each arm thinks and moves on its own. 3 hearts, blue blood, 9 brains in one body. The most alien-like creature on Earth, and it doesn't fight with force, it wins with its mind. The West looked at this creature and tattooed it out of fear. Japan looked at this creature and tattooed it because they want to be like it. Same octopus, completely different starting point. But those starting points, they're getting close. The West is changing. National Geographic's Secret of the Octopus. Millions watches it. And the reaction wasn't scary, it was incredible. A creature they feared for centuries, they're starting to see differently. The tattoo scene is shifting too, moving away from Kraken style toward Irezumi style. Because the perception is shifting. One of my clients, an auto mechanic in Austin, came in, wanted the Hokusai style octopus tattoo, holding a samurai sword and a lantern. Later came back to add a wrench. I asked at the beginning, why is it so different and how? What is an octopus tattoo? Intelligence, transformation, regeneration, strategy. Like, subscribe. お疲れ様でした。